found a news segment, and this was near and dear to my heart for a couple reasons. And it has occurred to me that I've taken some digs at Apple quite a bit lately on this program.
Yes.
And I want you all to understand, this is what some of our sports coaches told us in our younger years. I push you so hard because I want the best for you. I'm watching a show on Netflix right now. I started very late to the game, but it's called Umbrella Academy. Basically, this guy, he's an adopted father for some very talented, very gifted children, and he's very strict and tough on them. And have you seen the show, Jay?
I haven't, man.
Yeah,
you know me, dude. I'm not I watch like reruns of stuff.
It's a cult favorite, and so
I let everybody watch this stuff, grade it, and give the thumbs up, thumbs down,
with this
and then
one. It's been out for a while.
All right,
but the idea is, he's such a stern man because he doesn't care so much about his relationship with them. He cares more about making them ready for the person that they will be in the world. Okay. So that's sort of how I feel about Apple. And when I make these comments to Apple where I'm kind of just digging at them for, lack of innovation, it's because I expect better, because I know they're capable of better, because they have done better in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
All
It's
right.
just we could dedicate an entire podcast on our opinion about Apple and the direction that they have taken since the passing of Steve Jobs. And we
Indeed.
know that.
So, and Tim Cook seems like a nice guy. I mean, I've never met him, but it's nothing personal, as they say. So Apple lost a copyright battle recently. Now, this is a big deal for a couple reasons.
It's a huge deal.
And then the more you know about it, and the more you learn about it, there are even more reasons underneath the surface. But
there are layers and layers.
If you challenge Apple, and it has happened several times in 2020, and one of them was a pretty large game studio, Apple tends to just lawyer up and bury you. And so there's sort of the justice thing gets lost in terms of, who's actually right, because they'll just beat you with better lawyers. Okay.
Right.
So, there's a company that just beat Apple, and it's very much a David and Goliath. The company is called Corellium, and the concept of the lawsuit goes like this.
And real quick before you go into the lawsuit, this is a husband and wife small business.
Yep,
that's
husband and wife.
Make sure that's clear to you guys. And this is what to kind of go back on what Keith just said. Apple has that. They lawyer up. They've got deep pockets to be able to do that. So carry on, sir.
Well, we all like the story of the underdog, and so this company, again, Corellium, they're calling themselves a security research firm, and Apple sued them. Okay.
Yeah.
And they lost. And the reason that Apple sued them is because Corellium. Apple lost, correct. Yep. Apple did not like the fact that Corellium had designed mock-ups of Apple's mobile devices, like their iPads and iPhones, and I think even iPod Touches.
Yeah.
All virtual, correct.
Yeah.
And so what that allowed security researchers to do, because remember, this is a security firm, is you didn't have to go out and buy an iPhone to run security tests against it. You could run the virtual version of that, meaning on your computer, a mock-up of an iPhone that Corellium would provide you. Okay.
Right.
So Amanda Gordon and her husband, Chris Wade, basically came up with this idea. And interestingly enough, they founded this company in 2017. So it's not that old of a company. There was, there was definitely a need. This was something that they saw an opportunity. Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Sure.
And all these software developers jumped on it because there are so many different Apple devices out there now,
right,
that it's really, really prohibitive, not just from a cost standpoint, but from a, where am I going to keep all these things as a software developer every time I need to test one? I got to make sure it's charged up. I got to plug it in. Do I have to have 25 different cell phone plans to, as an app developer for each? Right. So it definitely filled a need. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting to me about this. So the judge ruled that the creation of the iPhones was not a copyright infringement because they were virtual. There was no tangible item. It all existed on a computer screen, right?
Right.
But this is why I feel like Apple, they're disappointing me a little bit here, because nobody bothered to mention the fact that Apple took notice of this company several years before they sued them and tried to buy them. So Apple themselves said, hey, we think this is a great idea. Or they thought it was good enough to want to buy the company. Right? And then the owners, Amanda and Chris said, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And Apple said, well, then we're going to sue you. So, Jay, if you try to buy a company, would you do that because you think what they offer is garbage?
Oh, absolutely not. We know where that was going.
So Apple saw a huge opportunity there.
Absolutely, man.
And they said, if we can't have it, nobody can have it. We're going to try to burn it to the ground.
Yep. And this ties into a lot of other things that these tech companies do, or like your Facebooks, your Googles, and those guys. There's so much stuff that goes on. This is why they wrap this stuff up into a ball and they hold on to it for dear life, and they say, you can't touch me, man. So what do they do when they have stuff like this happen to them that poses somewhat of a threat, which actually, we right to the right to repair thing. We've talked about that.
Yeah,
the ability to be able to take your phone in to have it repaired.
In this world, it's called fair use. And what we do a lot of times on YouTube falls under that fair use category, because we will take video segments that were released by Ford or GM or Audi or whoever, and we will comment on them, because that's what we ultimately do, is we talk about stuff at the parts counter, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And so they established their burden to prove that this fell under fair use, and the court sided with them. I just have a problem with the whole bully situation. That's just not, for a company that really tries to talk a big ethical game, that's a pretty unethical move on a big scale.
It is. A little bit of underhandedness there, I think.
But remember, and we've said this before, Apple is trying more and more to become a service company, a services company, and less of a hardware company, because they recognize that the recurring revenue game in your Apple Pay, all the things, Apple TV, these are services. iTunes, the movie rentals, on and on. They're getting a recurring revenue from you every month from your Apple Music subscription. They're getting a recurring revenue from you every time you use that Apple credit card. And that's what they're interested in, because it's easy money. They don't have to be innovative. They can just stick their hand in the pot. And I know, man. I know I got to quit. They do make some good products.
This, they do. This comes on the heels of the huge security issue that we just recently had, the hack. What was the name of the company? SolarWinds or whatever?
SolarWinds was one of them, yeah. Now, that's more of a Windows. Microsoft had a big breach as a result of that. They admitted.
Exactly, but what these guys are doing is they develop this to kind of aid in that hacking process, man. This is the security side of it as well.
Right.
And I've been an iPhone user since Keith told me 10 years ago, dude, you need an iPhone. And I've loved them ever since, but it's lost its luster from several things, security and just the fact that they're not very innovative in what they offer. They've got a lot. There are better phones out there than the iPhone. Put it that way. We know that. Keith, you don't even own an iPhone anymore. I
don't. Mine was based on there was a lot of factors, and there is no perfect answer for everyone. In fact, my son and I just chose a phone for my wife for Christmas, and she's a photographer.
Yeah.
And, we literally had a checklist. It's got to have good lenses in it. It's got to have good image processing, and then some other stuff. So it's just, everybody's different. Apple's still making good products. It's just that they're not the innovative products
Right.
For
Not
example,
yeah.
Google just released. I have a Pixel 4, if you care, and
I do.
they just released a software update over the holidays. Now, this is actually super innovative. Did I tell you about this?
No.
So it's called adaptive charging. Did you know, Jay, that one of the worst things...
You did send me an article on that.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is the kind of thing normally Apple would come up with.
Right.
Did you know that one of the worst things you can do to any rechargeable device that has a lithium-ion battery in it, like your phone, like your iPad, your tablet, whatever, is to plug it in when you go to bed and leave it plugged in all night?
Right.
Because the charging system, and a lot of these phones now, it's rapid charging, so it throws a lot of current at that phone. It throws a lot of juice, I should say, at that phone very quickly. And the batteries heat up, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is we need our phones fast. We don't have time to wait for the charging process. There is no such thing as a free lunch in nature, right? So if you push more charge through to that phone more quickly, there are side effects. It gets hotter. It shortens the life. You know, we saw this with Tesla, where if you use those superchargers, 15 times in, it's already starting to reduce the life expectancy of the battery. So,
wow, okay.
Okay, so adaptive charging, right?
Yep.
Google figured out a way that if you have an alarm set on your phone the next morning, and then you go plug your phone in at bedtime,
right.
It will use adaptive charging to slowly put your phone to 100% at the time the alarm goes off.
Oh, wow. So it's more of like a trickle effect. It is kind of like a trickle charge.
The logic is if you're going to bed and your alarm is set, you don't need to use that phone until you wake up, right?
Yeah.
So let's throttle the current, let's throttle the charge rate that's going into the phone so that we don't cook that battery, because the alternate to that is if you plug your phone in and it fast charges and it gets to 100% in, say, an hour, well, the other 7 hours you're sleeping, it's sitting there going 98%, 100%, 98%, 100%, 99, 100, 95, 100. 94, 100. Get it? Right? So it just keeps hammering that battery, and that's not good for the battery.
Now, I will say this, that my new the new iOS on my iPhone that I now have, let's see which version this is real quick.
It's 37.14.10.25.2000.
Yeah, that's it, man. Let's see here.
Are you about to tell me that you have this on your new one?
Here's what it just says that it will be fully charged in 10 hours or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So it throttles it too, but it doesn't. It's not with an alarm. It just kind of just does its own thing. You know, it's not like.
So they've got some software. Okay.
Yeah,
well, and that's the sort of thing that I would expect Apple to come out with well ahead of everyone else.
Right. And here's what it does. I think it does it based on my habits.
Okay.
Because this did not happen. This did not happen until This did not happen until I downloaded this new software, and so it is software. It's iOS 14.
Okay,
I'm on 14.2. So it did not happen in 13. I don't recall that. But yeah, so.
But Apple should have, to be fair, in my defense, they should have done this 3 years ago.
Well, sure. This is something new for them. This is not. I mean, seriously, I've never seen it before until now, and again, it's what's interesting about it though is that it doesn't do it throughout the day. So I can plug this thing in
and
just let it, and it'll supercharge it and everything, right? Yep. And then, which is good. But like when I go to bed, say 10, 11 o'clock at night or whatever, and I plug it in, I'll get up in the middle of the night at, say, I don't know, 3 a.m., get a glass of water, and I just hit the phone, just to see if I got a new subscriber or something on YouTube. But and then it says it'll be charged at like 5 a.m. or whatever. But anyway, it's out there. But I get you. Yeah, I get you, man. It's they're not nearly as innovative as they used to be. And I think that one of the things that excited you the most about Apple way back when you were an iPhone user, when we worked together, in the office environment, was the fact that everybody was using BlackBerry.
Yeah.
BlackBerry was so secure and all this sort of stuff, and I get it. But it was an amazing feat for Apple to be able to have that Microsoft Exchange, to be able to have Outlook on your phone, and all
They
of
were
it was
pushing
huge,
the
man.
envelope. It's the same reason that people were drawn to Tesla. It's pushing
Absolutely.
the envelope, you know?
Yeah.
And with that, I will stop my beat up session on Apple.